Good morning.
Well, hello.
Good to see you. Cheers.
Good to see you. How you feeling today?
I'm great. I'm great. I've been up for a while. You haven't.
No, I haven't. No, it's well, what? It's 4 o'clock in the morning. So I
Oh shit.
I,
Yeah.
I took a little bit of a nap just to prepare because I have a wacky schedule anyway. So
Oh, you do?
yeah.
Okay. Do you have a night shift?
So I do 2 morning shifts, a graveyard, and then 2 afternoon shifts. And on my what would be my Tuesday and my Wednesday is actually one day, and I do a 24-hour day, and yeah,
Oh.
I never recover. So you know,
Oh. Okay. Okay. Well, that's hard. I try. I try not to do that anymore. I did that when touring a lot, and that kind of messed up the whole system.
oh yeah,
Actually, yeah, it
it's not
did.
healthy.
It, especially when you're traveling between two continents, and when you arrive home, and and you're like, okay, so I have no clue what time it is, and you just feel drained. So yeah, I've respect. I couldn't do that, and I over with such things. It's over.
I love it. I love it. Um, so I actually I already made all the questions out from a few days ago. So
Yes.
at least I had some time to sit on it at the very least. I figured out what the problem was as to
Oh.
what had happened because I haven't had Skype in like a decade. So not that it's hard to use or anything, but the I had copied the entire username that he sent me, and it
Oh.
so it's like live dot and then
Oh.
your name. And so when I put it in, it came up as another Liv, but it wasn't
Oh.
your profile. And so
Yeah.
I was sitting there and I was like
Nothing.
it's technical error, it's just a technical error. So it's all good. It's
Oh,
all good.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. But now I got your contacts, and let's stay in touch from now on. So
Sure, absolutely. So
yes,
let's go back to
yeah.
what got you singing. What how did that all come about? How did you fall in love with music? And
Well, that started, I guess, as soon as I entered this planet, because my parents were really young when I was born. They were 18 and 19 years old. They were very much into Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Iron Maiden. So that's the kind of music I grew up with. Next to ABBA, the Swedish band ABBA, the band with the greatest harmonies ever. So that kind of combination led to the fact that I was actually singing along to Black Sabbath with my soprano voice, and figuring out harmonies, and that was just natural to me. And I was a late talker. I didn't even make it to the kindergarten. So I spent so much time being in my bubble, standing in front of the mirror with a hairbrush in my hand and imitating and singing. And it just came natural to me, even more natural than talking, probably. So when I was 15 years old, 15, 16 years old, I met some guys, some long haired guys who were also into that kind of music. And that turned into Theater of Tragedy. And when I was 18, we found ourselves touring, recording, press, a lot of press stuff, label, record deal, and things just went up. And that was that was my time as a in my childhood, being a young woman. And later there was Leaves Eyes. That was my time in Germany.
mhm.
And now there's a completely new chapter. Liv Kristine, my solo band, has been around since 1998. And it's always been, a little bit in the shadow of everything else, of Theatre of Tragedy and Liv's Eyes. But now I'm so happy that, after having been thrown out of Liv's Eyes, of my own band, losing my baby, I was so happy to pick up the crumbles of Liv Kristine and now being able to release my 6th solo album. So it's been a long way since the big crash in when everything happened in 2016. My life was turned upside down, and I needed to find my way home as a person, as a woman, taking care of my family, getting myself three jobs, to just make it, but then. I as soon as I had a clear mind and a calmer daily life, everything got settled, then I was ready to work on the compositions for River of Diamonds. They were written by Tommy Olsson, who also wrote Aegis for Theatre of Tragedy, of which I'm very proud to be part of. So Tommy Olsson is just my favorite composer. And he said, in 2015, he reached out and said, hey, come on, where are you? We hadn't seen each other for many years, as we both quit Theatre of Tragedy. But then he reached out and said, I got some really nice songs. Do you want to try singing on them and, put your words in? And he's been very patient, as well as my audience. It took me 9 years to finish. So now I'm back. It's River of Diamonds feels like my first album, actually. It's like the first album of my second life half. It feels great, actually, coming home as a person and coming home as an artist as well, being more authentic than ever.
Sure, of course. I did skim through the new album. I was going to wait until after the interview, then I was going to listen to it in full and then do a review of it. But based on what I had heard, it was kind of career definitive, really. Like it sounded like little bits and pieces of everything that you've done, and then pushing it forward as well. So
thank you.
I think I don't want to say it'll open new doors, but like I feel like it will continue from like you said, when everything happened with Liv's Eyes, that was your career, So I feel like this is picking right up from that, so you can continue fully. So when Theatre of Tragedy started, obviously there were a lot of female-fronted rock bands, and Joan Jett had already been around a long time and all that. But as far as metal like that, what was the reaction that everyone was giving?
Well, the strongest reactions came from the German metal press. Actually, they were like, "Wow, we got Toro, Joe aboard," and so that's just not possible. You can't have an angelic voice in doom metal. There was a lot of criticism from my hood, from the west coast of Norway, because Theatre of Tragedy came out of the darkness of Stavanger is a very cold and rainy town, and that's actually where black metal originates from. So there was black metal, but we didn't really like what happened to the genre black metal, because all of that took a political turn. Churches burned, stave churches burned, which is that's a cultural heritage, even from the Middle Ages, before Christianity took over. So we didn't get that, and we absolutely disagreed with that. So when we started, recording demos and showing demos to our friends and people around, and we started trading cassettes with our songs, people were kind of, it's black metal with soprano voice, you should be playing the keyboards. That's a woman's role, a girl's role in a dark metal band. So in the beginning, there were some misinterpretations, but then everything got itself into order. And I'm very happy about the reactions we got from the rest of Europe and from the US as well. Like, hey, that's something new. That's exciting. Let's see how that goes. And then there was Nightwish and Within Temptation and Epica, and they're still around. And we're a big family. Yeah, we're a really big family. But I still have to say it's a shame that Theatre of Tragedy is not around anymore. We tried to talk about it, to reunite on a couple of beers downtown Stavanger. Every time I'm home, I meet with the guys. But there's not everybody joining in case of a reunion. So we won't do it so far.
Okay. But never say never, right?
Never say never.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So at least in your time in the band, of course, from the first album until when you had left, the sound had changed quite a bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What was your reaction to the sound changing? Were you a fan of it? Did you like it? Was that something you were part of, or they just started making different music and you just sang on it? How did that come about?
Well, I had actually moved to Germany at that point of time, that period when music and assembly were composed and produced. I lived in Germany, so I wasn't really part of the composing process. But some of the guys in the band, had sold their metal vinyls and traded away their black metal cassettes and started all anew. And it was okay for me because, as I already said, I love ABBA too. And I had already released Deus Ex Machina, which is an electro pop album, my first solo in 1998. So to me, it was fine. I felt like, okay, let's open new doors. But those doors were slammed.
Wow.
Well, we got that straight back into our faces, and we lost the label deal and everything. Wow. So, but live, it was a huge success. We had amazing shows with those albums, but still, I understand the reactions of the fans and the press, and yeah, I understand that. But today, people are more open-minded. They say, like, they see the development, and then you had bands who did the same thing afterwards. So we were quite ahead of time, I guess.
It's from day one, you were just kicking down all the doors, and the world wasn't ready for it, apparently.
Exactly.
So now with your first solo album, well, how serious were you taking going solo, or was it just something fun to do when you first started doing it?
Well, I got an offer from Massacre Records. That was the label that discovered Theatre of Tragedy. And I felt safe there. And when I got the offer, it was just enough, to buy myself my first tiny car. And I was a student at that time, and I had just left Norway. So I was just happy that somebody reached out and wanted to promote my name. I don't think that the guys of Theatre of Tragedy were that happy back then, but then I got nominated for the Grammy with Cradle of Filth and everything was fine. So so yeah. I have to say that the freedom that the audience has granted me since Deus Ex Machina is just, it's endless. Every solo album is different. So I I could pick up some of the stuff from the earlier albums of Theatre of Tragedy, of the later albums of Theatre of Tragedy. I could pick up stuff there and put it into my solo project, but still make it highly individual. So every album has its own story. Lyrics are amazingly strong and direct. Sometimes when I read them or when I perform some of my old solo songs live, I'm kind of like, okay, that's kind of sticking to your face. Yeah, that has always been a red line through all my solo albums. Very direct text lyrics. So I hope the right people have come to read them.
Yeah. Now, when everything happened with Theatre of Tragedy, and then you started Leaves' Eyes, what did you have the creative direction on the music for that, since that was kind of something that you were creating?
Well, I just did some jamming sessions with my bass player, Christian Lukaup, back then. He was the bass player of Atrocity, and those guys were my family in Germany. So we did some jam sessions, and Christian definitely wanted to start something new with me, and he's an amazing bass player. So we started with, Lovelorn and a couple of songs, and we thought, hey, it seems to work. So we started recording, and then the ex-husband was the management and the producer of the album, and then we got ourselves a record deal. But Leaves' Eyes was originally based on my intention to bring in my birthplace, all the Norwegian stuff about history and heritage and the Vikings, and that was the main idea. So the first album of Leaves' Eyes is so authentic. It's so much me, and it felt like my baby. And yeah, it was released straight after I had become a mom myself for my Leon. So it was a very special period of time where I could really work authentically and bring in all the stuff I love about Norway and the North. So but things changed after that, and it's every album has its own story, but all the stories and all the lyrics were written by me. So there is much of me in the Leaves' Eyes stuff, yes.
Okay. And then when you did do the song with Cradle of Filth, and it got nominated for a Grammy, I'm sure that probably did open a few more doors creatively. People were probably knocking on your door like, hey, you want to sing on my song?
Yeah. Hey, and the thing is that I was driving in my I still had my tiny car, my tiny first car, and I was driving with my son in the back, and then I heard on the radio that Liv Kristine had got nominated for a Grammy, and I was like, okay, go home, because my cell phone was exploding, and of course I remember talking to Roadrunner Records back then, should we fly over to LA or not? But then we got to know that, we got the message that Lemmy Motorhead had received the Grammy, which is okay. I mean, he deserved it so much. So we didn't get to fly over to LA and cross the red carpet, but you never know. And since then, I just checked all my corporations and projects and all the albums I've been part of since then, checking my new and working on my new homepage. And it's a lot. It's been a lot. But you know what? I'm so grateful for the people who have reached out. Every little tiny garage black metal band from Brazil, or up to, Cradle of Filth, everything in between. in so many various musical directions. You kept me alive between 2016 and up until now. You haven't heard much from me. Still, in the latest years, I've got a lot of requests concerning corporations, for which I'm so grateful.
What would you say is probably the most interesting guest spot that you've done? Like where you heard the song or the artist that wanted to, and you were like, okay, like that'd be different.
Well, it has to be an amphetamine the way it happened, because Roadrunner had obviously tried to get in touch with me for some time, and all of their mails landed in spam. So when they finally got in touch, when the phone rang, it was urgent. It was like within the next 48 hours. So we got that done, and I talked to Danny. He was in the studio. I think he was in somewhere in London in the studio, and we talked on the phone, and he said, "Well, all you have to do is to bring in your honey voice." Oh, okay. That voice in which you would read to your children when they're trying to go to sleep. That voice, that's what we need. So it was easy for me to do it, and it was the perfect match. You have the contrast in there, but you still have the perfect match. So it's like yin yang. And when Danny heard the song, he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna these years, see you soon." So we met in London's dungeons to shoot the video for Cradle of Filth, and that was for amphetamine, and that was the first time I actually met Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And had a really good time together. So yeah, that was a very, very nice experience. I will never forget the honey voice.
Danny's probably nothing like what many people would think, huh? Like just based on Cradle of Filth itself, yeah, he seems to always have been a really cool guy.
Yeah,
a sweet dude.
He was a gentleman. He was a real gentleman. But I'm a gentlewoman too, so.
Well, that worked out.
Yeah.
Now that you are solo and you don't have the band pressures, is there anyone specifically that you would absolutely just love to collaborate with?
Ozzy, but he retired. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
Right? The timing, right? It's like, okay, now you're ready to be free, and then
yeah. And yeah, but okay. Apart from Ozzy, I would say I just love the band Oceans of Slumber.
Mm-hmm.
I love them, and I could just bought a couple of vinyls, and I've been following them for a long time. I just love the band, and of course, what actually happened was singing with Fernando of Moonspell. That was a big dream, which came true. I already sang with Nick Holmes, even, one of my pop songs on Deus Ex Machina. Nick in the studio. Okay, just bring me a cup of tea, and then I'm ready. And it was so cool to work with him, and I would love to make another duet with him, but I know he's busy with Host, with his new project. There are so many wonderful people out there, and apart from that, the pop queen, Kate Bush. But okay.
Who just had a crazy resurgence.
Yes.
Which is awesome. You never know when that's going to happen. All it takes is a happy accident, and
yeah, tell the universe. You never know.
Now, is there a song or album that you've done, not counting the new one, that you feel best represents you? Like if someone just came up to you and was like, what are you most proud of? What's a song or an album that you think is you?
An album.
Yeah.
Okay. The album that really, where I took the time to ripen and to work on every composition until I felt like it's my baby, that's River of Diamonds. Because now, being 47, I feel like I finally arrived, kind of coming home, as we already talked about. If I wouldn't have been able to release River of Diamonds, I would have released a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's River of Diamonds is my life work, and it feels like a brand new beginning. Although it kind of sums up everything, as you already mentioned, it's all in there. And yeah, it took 8-9 years, but it was worth it. So mentioning River of Diamonds, my very first album with Theatre of Tragedy was also felt that way, and the very first album with Leaves Eyes felt that Lovelorn. So yeah, truly authentic, and it feels like doors are opening. Yeah,
I think so too.
thank you.
So as we mentioned earlier about being ahead of the game, how many fellow musicians have let you know how much of an influence you were on them?
Oh, those, yeah. It still happens. It still happens nowadays that my, some person, recently it was my webmaster, and she said, I've been such a big fan of you. She's 15 years younger than I am, and she's like, back then I was so young, and I listened to you all day and all night. I learned all your songs, and now I'm your webmaster. And I thought, that's so sweet. It's still a huge compliment for me. And so I asked her to join me with her band on one of my gigs in the future, that she would be my warming up band. So I think it's always a matter of giving and taking, and of resonating with each other. And it fills me with gratitude, actually, to hear such things. I still hear such things, and people write on my, in the comments on my pages, and I'm still the one who answers and reads everything. And it's it's sweetness to my heart, and it makes me go on. It makes me go on. There were moments where I thought, like in 2016, when I thought, I'm just going to stop going on stage. I'm going to stop releasing albums. I have to fix my life first, my daily life. I had 3 jobs, as mentioned, taking care of my family, finding new financial sources. Those were really rough times when my mind was too full. And I thought, like, okay, it's just too much for me. The whole thing with the career and music, just let it be. Now, when everything is, I have reached my heights and it's good. Let's just close that door. But I couldn't. And even as my Facebook disappeared in 16, all of a sudden my Facebook page was gone. And I was like, okay, I need to start from zero. Is this a sign from the universe? It's over. Darn Facebook page. But then it grew. I started from zero. I picked up the crumbles of Liv Kristine, and it seems like the universe wanted me to start from scratch and to grow, but in a different and more authentic way than ever.
And probably the most rewarding, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been around all the time. I couldn't let you down whatsoever. It's not happened.
What have you been listening to lately?
Apart from Oceans of Slumber, yeah, host the project of Nick Holmes, and yes, the Norwegian pop band Aha. And I'm very much into all those Faroese and Icelandic and Norwegian female singers who sing in their original languages, singing about their heritage and in their own compositions. They inspire me a lot.
That reminds me, because you said that. When you told your webmaster that you wanted to bring her out on tour, what was her reaction to that?
Well, she's waiting for my answer. So, because I'm talking to the local promoter about that, and it seems like it's taking a positive turn. So, as soon as possible, I'm going to tell her. And she was just like, okay, if I would have known 14 years ago that I would possibly be one of your warming up bands, that would, I would just
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice frequency. It's a cool frequency to be able to give something, even if it's just a small idea or maybe an experience that we share, and if it makes that person feel bliss and wholeness, that's the best thing for me that I can do for somebody.
Now, for you, what was your first experience where someone that you looked up to gave you an opportunity?
Well, it was actually Nick Holmes, because I was and I'm a huge fan of Paradise Lost, and they were on tour. And the thing is that Massacre Records back then just contacted him, and all of a sudden I got the message that, okay, Paradise Lost are downtown, just drive to the venue, pick him up for breakfast, and then drive to the studio. So I drove in my tiny car to pick up Nick Holmes in my car, and that was just
Mind-blowing.
a very beautiful experience, but weird as well. I'm driving my tiny car, and there's Nick Holmes. The same happened to Doro. I had my tiny car number 2, and I picked up Doro from the train station, and Doro was in the car, and we were like talking about girl stuff, and going across the highway, and having a really good time, and singing together, and that was it was great. It was like, hey, Doro, where do you go? So yeah. It makes it clear that we're all made of the same stuff, and that's where I always land. That's where I always get back to. The place I get back to. We're all made of the same stuff, and that is stardust. So we're all kind of sparkling stars.
Now I'm gonna ask a different kind of a question. Are you still in Germany?
I moved to Switzerland a year ago.
Switzerland, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if someone was visiting Switzerland, where would you tell them to go eat?
Well, first we would go drink beers, and that's downtown Lucerne. The place is it's like a beer bar. You get fresh beer, and they brew it themselves, and you can sit next at the lake going through Lucerne. So that's where I normally take people, and then we will go and eat something. So yes, we will probably go out for some Swiss stinky cheese fondue. yeah, to try that out. It's really nice actually. In the beginning I thought, how can they eat that stinky stuff, but it's really nice actually. And yeah, that's where we would go to. Yeah, I decided to leave Germany, as my son is, now he's grown up. The bird has flown, so mom flew too. And I decided to move to Switzerland, as my new husband, he's been living here for a couple of years, and everything was kind of settled and ready, and not much harassment with the authorities. And I got myself a job because I love teaching and working with kids with special needs. So I have a normal 9 to 5 job in Swiss primary school, working with children, and I love it. And but those two things I didn't study at the university or high school, teaching and singing. That's the two things I'm doing for a living, and that's the things I love the most, except for my family
Right.
and my animals in my life. So I'm pretty lucky to have both teaching and singing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You brought up animals. What kind of pets do you have?
Dogs. I have dogs.
Doggy mom. Me,
Yeah.
I am a doggy dad, so I understand. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Sweet.
so what for the immediate future? The album is coming out very soon.
Yeah.
What are the plans from now on?
Well, play more shows, because I've been out of the business for quite a while. I played 1 or 2 shows a year during those years when much didn't happen. So now I'm trying to get back to, live, to get back on stage and to play at festivals. That would be really nice. And I haven't toured the US with my solo band so far, so it's time for you to get me over.
Hey, I'm so ready.
Thank you. Thank
If you, especially if you come to Las Vegas, I'm there.
Hi.
I'm ready.
Hey, super. Yes, we're working on that. Of course, I got my 9 to 5 job, but I'm sure we can find a solution. So there's been more 9 to 5 job, more teaching than music during the last years, but now things are changing. So it's just about keeping up the balance and see what fulfills you the most at that moment. So yes, we're planning. We have big plans.
Awesome. I can't wait for that.
Thank you.
Anything for the fans? Anything to say to the fans?
I just want to say thank you for being so patient and still keeping up the good mood and the hopes and the positive frequency concerning my artistic work towards my person as well. And you kept this thing going when I thought I was going to quit it all. So thank you for being around. And River of Diamonds is for you, because I want to give you the courage to be authentic, to show your true colors, and to strengthen your voices. And that's also my work as a vocal coach, doing my master classes and my teachings with my singing students from with people from all over the world. Strengthen your inner voice to strengthen your outer voice. That's so important. Become more authentic. And River of Diamonds is just about that, coming home to oneself, to be authentic, to show one's true colors. And it's a great honor for me to release this album, to show it to the universe.
Mission accomplished.
Thank you.
All right, Liv. I want to thank you very much for giving me your time and for rescheduling as well.
I want to thank you for taking your time and staying up for this case for me, and thank you for being around and for all your lovely words. And let's stay in touch. And whenever you got something ready to which I could post, after my release gig, this weekend I will have more space to do posting. So whenever you're ready, just let me know and I'll post the link with your name.
Sure. Absolutely. I will message you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Be safe, Marcus.
Thank you, Liv. You take care today. Okay.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.